and the weekly news conference by Jay Gruden, the coach of the Washington Redskins, who's just walked into the press room there. And let's listen in for a bit.
So I'll just try the defense. Had a chance to look at that, and obviously not the same performance you got against the Cowboys. What went wrong defensively, especially in the second half?
Well, where do you begin? There's, in football, obviously, as you guys know, man, it's hard to pinpoint one area sometimes. Sometimes it's lack of pass rush. Sometimes it's poor coverage. Sometimes it's the linebackers not hitting their gaps. It's a combination of a lot of things. Defensively, just like the running game we talk about all the time, it takes everybody to be on the same page and be in concert. The same thing with defense. The gap's got to be secure. The rush lane's got to be up the field, and the gap's got to be secured, and keep Teddy Bridgewater in the pocket. And we lost contain a couple times, lost coverage a couple times, and obviously our running game gaps were jeopardized a few times. So it wasn't one guy, unfortunately. We would have been able to fix that. It was more than one. It was a combination of a lot of guys.
The play on the two-point conversion looked like you had two options, and they were both covered. What was the dynamics of that play, and what was the decision-making tree there?
Yeah, that was we lined up in a little slot formation motion to try to get Deshaun one-on-one against the corner, and they ended up playing zone, and so Deshaun was covered, and then Pierre had the one-on-one on the backside, and he kind of got grabbed a little bit and didn't get open, and by the time he got back to Pierre to give him a chance to catch it, ball came out. They had a good pass rush on. It was not the greatest choice of two-point plays, but they had a good pass rush and good coverage.
On defense against Dallas, you guys had a really aggressive attack, really went after the quarterback. This time you're going against a rookie quarterback. It seemed like they scaled it back a little bit. What did you all see that made you feel like that was a better game plan than bringing the pressure on a young guy?
They tried to bring some pressure a little bit, just different kinds of pressure. They brought some five-man pressures. They overloaded some sides a couple times. They brought some cover zeros down in the red zone a few times we did. So I wouldn't say it was totally a passive game plan. They did try to mix up some coverages and see if Teddy could read them and make the throws, and hopefully our four-man rushes would get home. Unfortunately, in the first half, our four-man rushes got home. Second half, they didn't get home, and we lost contain and let Teddy out of the pocket, and he found some guys down the field. And then, in the red zone, we did try some zero pressures, and he drifted back and hit a crossing route to Jennings, I think, on one for a first down at the 6, and then they hit a running play up the gut on one of them for a touchdown. So they did try. They just were very effective in whatever they called seemed to be working there in the second half, the last two drives.
Jay, going back to the two-point conversion, if you see that look that you have a play mostly for man and it's zone, can Robert audible out of that one?
No, the way they play their zones, we knew that one of the corners would be in a man technique, and that was Pierre's corner on the other side. We're trying to get lined up a slot, try to get Deshaun over there and work Deshaun one-on-one, and then if he was covered, we're going to come back to Pierre. So it was a nice two-man concept. It was just they covered it very well. They kind of latched on to Pierre, and he couldn't get off, and by the time he would have gotten off, that's when the ball came out.
What do you think of Robert after going back and watching the film?
Robert did some good things. Obviously, when we give up the lead and he comes back down and leads a drive to score and take the lead, and then we give up the lead again, and then he leads another drive to go down and score and take the lead. And two-point play wasn't very good on my part or schematically, but I think there's some promise there. Over the course of a football game, I'm sure there's a lot of plays that he wishes he had back. There's some pocket issues where he stepped into pressure a few times, and maybe he could have run for more yards or whatever. That's just something we just got to continue to watch and monitor and try to coach him. But overall, for his first game back in quite some time, I think he did some good things that really ultimately should have helped us win that football game.
Jay, there are a lot of people calling, obviously, for changes on the defensive side of the ball, most specifically with Haz. What do you say about that, and do you plan on making any kind of adjustments to how you guys have been doing things as a coaching staff over these next 2 weeks with Todd?
We got to look at our scheme, but obviously, against Tennessee and against Dallas, we were very good. I gave Hazlitt one of the game balls against Dallas in our team meeting. I thought he did a great job against Dallas, and there's some things we're doing well, but you have to understand, you lose your number one corner in D. Hall, and you lose your pass rusher Rakpo, and you're playing with a rookie corner and Keenan Robinson's a Mike and a rookie outside linebacker. There's going to be some lumps to be had. You know, a lot of these guys are going through some learning processes, and but I think from a schematic standpoint, we could have done some things better, obviously. But from a player standpoint, they could have done some things better too. You know, we could have had better contain on the rush lanes. You know, we lost contain, and that's inexcusable for the player standpoint. But we could have called different coverages, yes. But overall, you can't point your finger at one person. You can't point your finger at one coach when you give up those 2 drives in the second half. You know, I think it's a total team effort, and you know, I'm included in that.
Coach, going into the bye week at 3-6 as opposed to 4-5, does it at all change your direction moving forward with the season, or what you're looking for out of players, or do you still have the same goals?
Same goals. You know, we really want to look for guys that compete every day, and you know, we're not going to stop competing. We're going to preach competition every day, and we're never going to give up. We got to claw ourselves out of this thing, and you know, we got a good group of guys. I don't feel like the effort was in doubt in the game. I just think the execution wasn't very good in key situations when we had chances to put the game away, had chances to get stops, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8. We had a chance to get a 2-point play. We had a chance to put the game away in the first half. It just didn't happen. But I want to stick with our guys. I want to see them fight their way out of it, see who the competitors are, and try to get this thing turned around.
Jay, on the 3 consecutive sacks, on the 3rd sack, Robert was there holding the ball for almost about 5 seconds there. That's been his problem for some time, is him holding the ball and not being decisive. How do you guys work on that? How do you try to get it through his head that, you know, maybe things aren't open, but at some point you have to make a decision because those guys are going to come get you?
Yeah, you talk about it all the time. You got to have a clock in your head as a quarterback, and sometimes you know, he gets locked in somewhere, and by the time he comes off to a secondary receiver, he feels the pocket closing in on him and doesn't have time to move. And we can help him. You know, the line can help him a little bit. I can help him with the drops of the quarterback to maybe get it out quicker or what have you. But for the most part, he just got to continue to play and learn that and play with that feel in the pocket. You know, and sometimes that comes naturally, sometimes it doesn't. But it's something that he's going to have to fight through and abort mission when he has to, and step up and throw it away when he has to, and get it out of his hands when he has to. But you know, it's hard to coach that. It's hard to simulate that on the practice field, and it's just something he's got to go through.
Robert looked quite stiff and sore when he got down from the podium yesterday. He also stayed on the turf a few times. How was he physically, and how did that ankle hold up? And Logan Paulson, we just saw walking out of here on crutches.
Yeah, Logan has plantar, is it fasciitis? Yeah, something like that. He's got a chance to go against Tampa Bay. And then, you know, when you play quarterback, you take some hits in the game, you're going to be sore. He's got a little soreness. His ankle held up great. He had a really low hit early in the game. It was the knee ankle area on the same leg, and he limped around for a minute, but it went away right away, so he was fine. I think from a physical standpoint, he will be sore. He did take some shots, but there's no reason for concern.
When you look back at the secondary, it seemed like there was some miscommunication. What did you find out?
Redskins coach Jay Gruden. And maybe the quote of this news conference is, after talking about what happened yesterday, he said, lumps to be had. There are lumps to be had, was the exact quote. It's another way of saying that we lost to the Vikings yesterday, a team we probably should have beaten. In the meantime, the Redskins have won 3, they've lost 6, and they have exactly the same record they've had now for the last 3 years at this point going into the bye week. And maybe it's good that they do have a bye. Try and get better a little bit for the Redskins. Live coverage for you here on News Channel 8, 9 minutes after 3 o'clock.